welcome to the PI Show. My name's Harry Nowicki. I'm a personal injury lawyer. I'm here together with colleagues Tony Carbone,
Good evening, Harry. Good evening,
and
viewers.
Kathy, who's a personal injury lawyer as well.
Good evening, Harry.
So,
Good evening, Tony. Thank you.
We spend a lot of time talking about personal injuries,
We do.
and there's a very well-known case which I think recently settled in Sydney by a way of compromise.
Yeah, in the news is
out of court.
In the news has been a lot of news about this case of David Jones and Christy Fraser Kirk.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is that it settled for about $850,000, albeit we don't know the exact details.
That's what's reported.
Yeah, and I guess she's no longer employed by David Jones. Is that correct?
Well, bizarrely, she was being on leave with full pay until the settlement, as I understand it. So, the terms of settlement, we're not clear whether it's an all-in, inclusive of legal costs,
Well,
or
if that's
plus
the case,
costs.
should be severely
Should be out of pocket.
out of pocket. Yeah.
Oh, look, legal costs would be significant. I think proceedings, she first consulted a lawyer in June,
Yes.
and it's settled in October. So I think there's quite a few legal... I don't think she's had silk in...
No, she's had a
senior junior.
a senior junior involved in the case.
And I think David Jones and McGuinness has had...
But this has been all over the
silk.
news, Harry. I mean, it's been on TV, it's been in the papers, radio.
Well, I think
been
it's
everywhere.
made international news as well because of the quantum of the claim.
Well, my understanding is this is probably the highest sexual harassment settlement in Australian history.
Out of
Most
court,
likely.
I wouldn't think so, Tony.
No?
No. There'd
Well, it's
be-
the highest that I'm aware of anyway.
Was it? It's a significant amount, but if you factor in legal costs, then it's reduced.
Well, Kathy, the only other one that I recall is that's actually gone to court is the lady that was allegedly raped and got $450,000. So this is a lot of money compared to that.
That's right. And
But that was
also-
plus costs, Tony.
Yeah,
That was plus costs.
But
So-
still, I mean, compared to this, any which way you cut it.
Well, going back to previous coverage that we've done, this obviously we are big fans of this case at the moment, and it's been highly publicised. But I mean, $850,000 for a sexual harassment case is extremely high. Normally, what cases I think last time were assessed that we looked at were assessed at about $15,000.
$15,000, $20,000, $30,000.
Pretty high
So-
considering that, you know, the most that happened is...
Was
a
two
kiss.
incidents.
No, not even. It's an attempt to kiss, actually, because we've
And-
got some text messages that came in.
And a hug.
Well, that's
hug.
Yeah,
right.
it's an expensive hug.
Well, well, careful who you choose to hug is what comes out of that.
But Harry, doesn't it highlight bigger issues for employers? You're coming up to Christmas now, and I think you'd be giving a directive to your people to be very careful what they do and what they say and how they behave.
Yeah, look, inappropriate conduct in the workplace is an issue, and especially around Christmas time, there's issues about duty of care by employers and their functions outside the normal workplace often. So,
But is it a course of conduct by the person involved? Like in this case, there was allegations that he was prone to this sort of behaviour?
look, it's interesting because the pleadings were that she amended the pleadings and put in some Black and Decker allegations of 1989, 1990, and she... throughout the pleading, she was anonymous people. She didn't name anyone in the pleading.
Well, the judge was highly critical of that.
And the judge quite rightly, well, the defendant said, we can't plead to it, it's embarrassing because we don't know who these people are.
Well, we don't even know if it's factual or if it's fiction.
They couldn't investigate, they can't plead to something which is anonymous in the pleading. So they, there's an originating motion in court, and that issue was highlighted by the judge, and the judge said, look, you can't name anonymous people in court, it might cause some embarrassment to people. And the other observation the judge made was that, did you have the consent of these people to put them in the pleadings? And I think he thought that there might be some trouble if she didn't have the consent.
Well, he did say that if they don't produce these witnesses and don't name them, those parts of the pleadings would be struck out.
Yeah, so he
did make
gave her
cost orders
14
against her,
days.
didn't he?
And adverse cost order because she didn't succeed in the
Would they be
originating
expensive,
motion.
Harry, those cost orders?
I think that Sydney litigation is expensive. We've talked about costs, and you know, there's silks, there were affidavits, there were volumes of material produced, and it would be an expensive exercise.
Kathy, one of the things that I found interesting in this case was all these text messages that he sent to her trying to apologise to her.
That's
Did you,
correct.
you had them handy before?
I
And
did, and we'll put them up for the viewers as well. But in particular, they had a couple of messages that were sent by Mr. McInnes to Christy Fraser Kirk on the 11th of June. And in particular, it actually says at 6:30, there were 3 different messages that have been produced to the public. I am pleading with you to show some mercy on me by tomorrow morning, or everything I have worked for or earned is gone. I will be totally destroyed. I know my attempt to kiss you was wrong, and I'm so sorry, but I am about to lose everything I have in my life. Please have some compassion on me, and we will settle this as you wish. Then there was a further couple of text messages where Mr. McInnes has begged Ms. Kirk not to proceed with any or formalising any proceedings, to which she did. But what was interesting to note was that at some stage where there's been exchanges of text messages between the two, she's also sent messages back and put a kiss at the end of them. Well, X marks the spot in this instance. But the difference is we don't actually have the information on hand as to what she's replied to. But
I know,
clearly
but I
there's
mean-
more to it other than just these text messages that were there. It's just
well,
that these have
you're
been
sceptical
highlighted.
of everything that she's saying for the simple fact that...
Well, they've
Wait.
just paid for her trip to the Bahamas, to the Hamptons, not to the Bahamas. I think we'd all like a trip to the Bahamas after the David Jones case. But it's like, look, I just think that I'm sceptical about how the proceedings came into play in terms of she's made a vast amount of allegations to the point where she's actually made allegations against a private investigator who is now suing her for defamation.
Look,
So-
can I just highlight 2 text messages really late that night that I thought were just, incredible. He said, I beg you not to destroy my life. I'll come to any arrangement you deem appropriate. So it sounds to me he was happy to, I don't know, pay
He'd
her.
make some concessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe pay her in a
Something.
quietly...
Yeah. Well,
know.
it's a sort of pre-litigation
Yep.
compromise, if you like.
And then Harry, 5 minutes later at 8:30, he sent another text message saying, Christy, please, I beg you, my life is about to be blown apart. I'm so sorry, please. Look, he's blown a $4 million a year job, plus perks. A lot of perks.
and look, we'll never know what happened, but in his defence, he said that she was flirting with him at some point in time.
Well, Harry, look, I'm a bit sceptical. I'm
So-
taking...
He's
he-
never denied some allegations, though, and that's something where at least we have to take into consideration for Mr. McInnes.
Yeah, and I think in his public statement he apologises. He says there was some inappropriate behaviour. So
Look, we'll come back to this after the break. We've got to go to a sponsors break, viewers, so please don't go away, viewers. Stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly. Thank you.